सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. हरिः ओम्. श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम्. We are in chapter 15 titled Purushottama Yoga, and in that 15th chapter we have completed third sloka and also started fourth sloka but could not complete. So we will take up the fourth sloka afresh today. Sloka number 4 in chapter 15. Tatapadam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravrutti prasruta purani. Tataha, thereafter, tat padam, that very goal, parimargitavyam, should be sought after. Gataha esmin, reaching which, na nivartanti, they do not return. Bhuyaha, again, prapadye, one should pray, I surrender unto you. Tam eva cha adyam purusham, to that very primal God. Yataha, from whom purani pravrittihi, the ancient process of creation, prasutaha, has proceeded. Tataha yataha purani pravrittihi prasrutaha tam eva cha आद्यम पुरुषम प्रपद्ये इति तत्पदम परिमार्गितव्यम यस्मिन् गता भूयः न निवर्तन्ति. Thereafter, that goal, that very goal should be sought after, reaching that goal, they do not return again. One should pray, I surrender to that primal God from whom the ancient process of creation has proceeded. From whom the ancient process of creation has occurred. Tataha means thereafter. Thereafter means whereafter? After getting vairagyam. The moment we say vairagyam, you should immediately understand it is not suppression, but a mature dispassion. Suppression is never to be taken. It is not correct. It is going out of dependence. Just as we grow out of attachment to the dolls and playthings as we grow. In the childhood, we were so much attached to all dolls and playthings. As you grow, naturally, you come out of that fancy. You need not do anything. You survive somehow. You will physically grow. As you physically grow, you will not be learning upon the door. You will not be having any fancy upon those dolls, computer games and all things. The biscuits which we were mad after in the childhood, no more. They are interested now. Now, they are replaced by the gold biscuits as you mature. That is called Vivekajanya Vairagyam. In this case, we require emotional growth, a healthy dispassion. Emotional growth requires working on it. In the case of spiritual growth, we need emotional growth, which requires working on it. That is called Vivekajanya Vairagyam. We have to study our experiences and learn after getting dispassion, a healthy dispassion. You have to go to the second upaya. Once you acquire Vairagyam, you have to go to second upaya. Means the discipline of sadhana, which is mentioned in this particular sloka as parimargitavyam. Parimarganam means inquiry, vichara, searching, seeking of what? That padam. Padam means ultimate destination of the life, and also the ultimate substratum of the samsara tree, which we have mentioned as the root of the samsara tree. We mentioned in the comparison the primal root or the tap root is Bhagavan or Brahman. So may you inquire into that Brahman, not sitting with closed eyes, but asking, what is that Brahman? That Brahman inquiry means Guru Shastra Mukhena Vedanta Vichara Kartavya. Brahma Vicharaha Kartavya. A Brahma inquiry is Shastric inquiry. Shastric inquiry involves the guidance of Guru. May you enter into Vedanta Vichara. This is what we understood. The first part of the 15th chapter, Paramatma gave a description of samsara so that a person would get desire for samsara nivrutti or moksha. Unless one diagnoses the human problem, there will be never an attempt to get out of the problem. Therefore, he gave the description of samsara by comparing samsara to the huge tree of Aswatha. This was done in the first 2.5 verses. And Moksha Prapatti, Paramatma has entered into sadhanas meant for samsara nivrutti, moksha, moksha prapatti sadhanani or samsara nivrutti sadhanani. And many disciplines are discussed in the Shastra. Paramartha is here highlighting 4 disciplines which I introduced in the last class. The first one is Vairagyam, which Paramatma called Asangatvam. The word Vairagyam is to be understood as depending on Paramatma more than the world. Shifting from the world dependence to God dependence is Vairagyam. So, later we can discover that Paramatma is none other than my own higher nature. The scriptures do not reveal this fact in the very beginning. In the beginning, Paramatma is presented as a third person, other than me. So, he is the Sthitikaraka, he is omniscient, he is described as Paroksha Vastu, not Pratyaksha Vastu, not as my own Swarupa. So, as someone different from me, we are asked to depend upon Paramatma in any form we like. In the form of Venkatesa, in the form of Vishnu, in the form of Devi, in the form of Anjaneya, whatever you like. And thereafter, alone, we discover the fact that Paramatma is not away from me. Paramatma is my own real nature, my own higher nature. Therefore, God dependence will turn out to be the self-dependence at a higher stage, which is called the total freedom. So, Vairagyam is shifting dependence from world to Paramatma and Paramatma to myself. Paramatma to myself means not that I can do everything on my own without the help of others. That is not the meaning to be carried home. The mental dependence is not there. I have absolute mental independence in doing my transactions. Even if you are in the ripe old age, your mind is so strong, you do not depend mentally on somebody. That is what it means by self-dependence. Any undertaking can be successful only when two factors are favorable. One is my sincere effort, called prayatna. Without my effort, nothing can happen. As they say, 10 people can take a horse to water, but the horse alone has to decide whether to drink or not. Similarly, if my effort is not there, even God cannot help me. Therefore, prayatna is one factor. And second factor is Ishvara Anugraha, the grace of Paramatma, so that all the other factors are favorable to me. All the hidden factors are favorable to me. And to seek this grace of Paramatma, I surrender to Paramatma. Saranagati or Prapti is the second sadhana. And the third one is the development of healthy virtues, Sadguna Sampadanam. Because only in the atmosphere of healthy virtues, self-knowledge can take place. Just as in chemistry, they talk about various chemical reaction, they always specify the temperature and pressure, in whose conditions alone the reaction can take place. Certain reactions require NTP, normal temperature and pressure. So, in the same way, we require the healthy ambience to acquire Atma Jnanam. Healthy spiritual ambience we require to acquire the spiritual knowledge or Atma Jnanam. When the local events require certain conditions to successfully take place, Vedanta says the self-knowledge can take place only in certain conditions. And what is that? One should be sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. One should acquire the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Then they can imbibe Atma Jnanam very easily. And Vairagyam, Saranagati and Sadgunas, these are the three upayas mentioned here. And the fourth one, along with these three upayas, is Vedanta Vichara. So this is the scheme. Techniques are given by Paramatma in order to achieve Atma Jnanam and to stay in that Nishtha. First one is Vairagyam, second one is Saranagati or Prapatti or Bhakti, then Sadgunas, virtues, and the fourth one is Vedanta Vichara. The inquiry into scriptures or the scriptural study that sadhana is not emphasized at all nowadays. All other sadhanas are highlighted. Nobody talks about the scriptural study. That too the systematic scriptural study. Just as we study in the college for a length of time and acquire our qualifications, the academic qualifications, in the same way, the Vedanta Vichara must be continued for quite a long time under an able and competent Brahma, under an able and competent Srotriya Brahmanishta Guru. As Vedanta Vichara consisting of Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, we need to expose to Advaita Guru continuously for a quite long time. Paramatma uses the word Parimarganam. Parimarganam means self-inquiry through the instrumentality of scriptures. Just as you inquire into the disease in the body, the doctors use appropriate instrument. Even to have a master checkup, the doctors do not study your body, your blood, etc. through ordinary eyes or ears. The patient has to go through many medical gadgets, so many scannings, etc. So, you require an appropriate instrument for assessing your health medically. Self-inquiry requires the instrument called Shastra Pramanam. That is why we always say self-inquiry is equal to Shastric inquiry. Atma Vichara is equal to Vedanta Vichara. Remember the example of a mirror, which our Guruji often talks about. If I have to see my face, I have to make use of the mirror. When I am looking into the mirror, it appears as though I am looking outside. But I am not seeing outside, I am seeing myself. I see the face on the mirror or in the mirror, but when I apply kumkum, I do not apply to the mirror, I apply to my face. In the similar way, the Shastra is outside, but the application is on yourself. Shastra shows your face just as mirror. Shastra shows your real nature, and you have to apply that to yourself, not to the mirror. Just as you are applying your kumkum to yourself. So the fourth technique is Vedanta Vichara. The four techniques we have in this chapter are Vairagyam, Saranagati, Sadgunaha, Vedanta Vichara. These are the four sadhanas or four upayas mentioned by Paramatma. Out of this, what is the most important one? Paramatma did not mention this. But we should remember that the most important one is Vedanta Vichara alone. The other three are supportive kajas, supportive upayas, because they only prepare the condition of the mind. So, just as preparing the condition of chemical reaction or preparing the condition for a surgery, the conditions are important. But what cures the disease is the surgery. You cannot tell the patient to go home after preparing the condition for surgery. They are all important. Sugar has to be brought down. Our blood pressure has to be handled before surgery. All these conditions are taken care. They are very important. But it is the surgery which is most important, which removes the disease. In the similar way, Vedanta Vichara is important. The other three upayas are preparatory upayas, preparatory sadhanas. That is Vairagyam, Saranagati and Sadgunas. They only create the condition. The actual job is done by Vedantic study, which generates the knowledge, and in that process, it removes the self-ignorance. The three supportive kajas and Vedanta Vichara, the primary cause, are very, very important. All the four are mentioned in the third verse. Vairagyam has been mentioned in the fourth verse. Paramatma is mentioning Vedanta Vichara and Saranagati. So, look at the third line first. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. Every sadhaka must be a devotee of Paramatma. Without Ishvara Bhakti, any amount of intellectual acumen will not bless a person. We do require a sharp intellect, no doubt, but Bhakti is very important. And that is why we start the class with a prayer. Pardhaya pratibodhitam bhagavatam narayanena swayam. This is how we start. When the mind is in the prayer, our connection is established. I surrender unto God. So, this is very important. So, in this chapter, we use the word Purushaha. Purushaha has got two meanings. One meaning is all-pervading one. Purayati sarvam iti Purushaha. The second one is Pure iti vasati Purushaha. Puram means the body. Vasati means one who dwells in. Therefore, Purushaha means one who indwells the body. And that is natural because if the Paramatma is all-pervading, Paramatma will be in my heart also. That all-pervading Paramatma who is in my heart, unto him I surrender. What type of Paramatma he is? Yataha Purani Pravrittihi Prasrutaha. Pravrittihi means the emergence, the Utpatti. The emergence, the origination of what? The creation. Is the cause of the creation, Jagat Karaka. Beginning from the space onwards, Tasmadva etasmad atmana akasas sambhota. Akasad vayu, vayu ragni, agneraapaha. Adbhya prudhivi, prudhivyam voshadayaha. Voshadibhyo annam, annat purushaha. Even space originates from Paramatma or Atma. When all this start, when does this origination begin? Paramatma says, Purani Pravrittihi, the most ancient creation. We do not know when the Big Bang started. Billions of years ago. So this ancient origination or creation, Prasrutaha, occurred or emerged from that very Paramatma or from that very Sadrupa, from which source the entire Srishti took place. I surrender unto that Paramatma. So this is called Saranagati, a second upaya or second technique. Then we will go back to the first line, in which the third sadhana is mentioned. Vedanta Vichara Tataha. That means after preparing the mind very well, we have to provide the condition, so that we have to provide the condition. Even a farmer will sow the seed only after preparing the land. Then only he will get the proper yield. So in the similar way, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti Anantaram Vedanta Vicharaha Kartavya. That is how Brahma Sutra begins. Bhagavan Vyasacharya writes a famous Brahma Sutra consisting of 555 sutras. Most important Vedantic literature. And it begins with Athato Brahma Jijnasa. Shankara Bhagavatpada writes an elaborate commentary on the first word Atha. He gives various possible meanings of this word Ataha and dismisses all possible meanings and arrives at the final meaning thereafter. For this 1.5 page commentary he gives, for which 10 pages sub-commentary and 100 pages of sub-commentaries are there, written by other acharyas. Once he establishes the meaning as thereafter, he himself puts a question. Thereafter means whereafter. So that we have to take the correct meaning. Shankara Bhagavatpada himself answers the question. He says, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti Anantaram. After preparing the mind, in fact, our entire religious life is for preparation. All our rituals are called samskara. The very conception is samskara. Garbhadana samskara, Pumsavana samskara, Pumsavana samskara, Simanta samskara, Jatakarma samskara. Samskara means refinement. Everything that we do in our religion, including Navratri, Kolu, is all samskara, refinement of the mind. Samskara means it's an action by which our antakaranam is refined. So here the word tataha means after getting sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. Now that is now given here parimarganam, entering into Vedantic study seriously. Find out what is Sthula Sariram, what is Sukshma Sariram, what is Karna Sariram. Is there something beyond? If there is something beyond, what is the nature? The very elaborate inquiry. So Parimarganam Vicharitavyam. Parimarganam means we have to inquire. There in the Vyasa Sutra it is called Brahma Jijnasa. Brahma Jijnasa means Parimarganam. What do you inquire into? Padam. In the last class we had this word. One meaning is ultimate goal of every human being, which is my own real nature, or Brahma, or Atma. So, the destination, Padhyate iti padam, Karman Utpatti. There is a second meaning also, that is the basis or substratum. According to the second meaning also, it is that very Brahma or Atma. So Brahma, which is the destination, which is the substratum of the whole creation, which is the root of samsara vriksha, that nature of the Brahma may you inquire through Vedanta. What is the advantage of reaching that destination? Already I have got so many destinations in the life. I got a big agenda. So among many agendas which are incomplete, you are adding one more. This was not till now. You have added Brahmajnanam in my long list. So in what way this destination is better? Paramatma tells that this is the best destination because this is the only destination reaching which further travel is not there. A person has reached home. So, Brahma alone is the real home, where you can feel at home. Any other goal you fill for a day, you are fulfilled, relax, then the day you are ready for what next? Education over. What next? Employment over. What next? Getting settled. So like this, the travel is unending. The travel never ends. Whereas this destination is the ultimate destination. There is no further journey. Bhuyaha na nivartanti. One does not come back. That is, the samsara nivrutti takes place. So, seeking this goal, the Vedanta Vichara, one can feel comfortable and he can get Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. For Vedanta Vichara, we said 3 sadhanas are preparatory sadhanas. So they are Vairagyam, Saranagati and Sadgunas. And after getting Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, we have to enter into Vedanta Vichara. This is what we have learnt. We will proceed to the next sloka. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha samjnaihi gatyantya muda padamavyayam tat. Nirmana mohaha, those who are free from pride and delusion. Jita sanga doshaha, who have conquered the evil of attachment, who mastered detachment from the doshas. What doshas? Sangha doshas. Vinivritta kamaha, who are free from desires. Vimukta dvandvaihi, who are free from the pair of opposites. Sukha dukkha samjnaihi, known as pleasure and pain. These are the examples. Many examples are there for dvandvas. Adhyatma nityaha, who are ever committed to the spiritual pursuit. Amudaha, and who are wise. Gachanti, attain. Tad avyayam padam, that imperishable goal. We'll see the anvayam. Nirmana mohaha, jitasanga doshaha, adhyatma nityaha, vinivritta kamaha, sukha dukkha samjnaihi, dvandvai vimuktaha, amudaha, tat avyayam padam gacchanti. Those who are free from pride and delusion, who have conquered the evil of attachment, who are free from desires, who are free from pairs of opposite known as pleasures and pain, who are ever committed to the spiritual pursuit, and who are wise, attain that imperishable goal. So the discipline, sadgunaha, the cultivation of healthy virtues, Vedanta friendly virtues, which serve as catalyst for the moksha reaction to take place. So what are those virtues? We have already enumerated in the 13th chapter. From the verse 12 to 18 in that chapter, they are amanitvam, adambitvam and so on. Paramatma will again elaborate them in the 16th chapter in the form of Daivi Sampatti, and also later in 17th chapter. Paramatma wants to give only certain sample virtues here. What are they? Paramatma mentions Nirmana mohaha. First and foremost, develop humility. Get rid of arrogance, pride, vanity, which unknowingly creep into our personality. Few achievements can easily get into our head. If you are successful in one or two incidents, you are an achiever, people praise you, and slowly this pride creeps into your mind. You become a heavy-headed person. You behave arrogant. A few people glorify us, and we have lost our balance. Therefore, our scriptures emphasize vinayam, humility, as one of the most important virtue required. To learn vinayam, you have to exercise doing namaskara. The very physical prostration has the capacity to develop vinayam, humility. And in our culture, left and right, any occasion, namaskara is there. Not only in front of Paramatma, namaskara to the parents, namaskara to the elders, namaskara to the teachers. So this is one method. And the second one is to constantly remember that there are people who are greater than me, who are superior to me in any field. I am never the ultimate, the greatest one in the creation. If you remember this fact, the humility will automatically fall in line. Humility will automatically creep into my life. And secondly, and more importantly, I should remember whatever the glories or faculties I have, they are all gift from Paramatma. It does not take much time to lose them. A wonderful voice can be easily lost with one ice cream. So we should have that vinayam. That very faculty can be lost anytime. That vocal faculty given by God can be lost at any time. Remember, in the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yogam, Paramatma mentioned, everything I possess is Bhagavan's gift, Bhagavan's Mahima. And any glorification I receive, it is not my glorification, it is Bhagavan's glorification, it is his Vibhuti. So, I cannot own up all this glory. If I remember this, there are people who are superior to me and greater to me. That is fair enough. Another point is, whatever I have is all Bhagavan's gift. These two things are very important to cultivate humility. If these two I remember in my mind and physically I keep doing namaskara, whatever appropriate, without hesitation, Sashtanga Namaskara. If there is a backache, Panchanga Namaskara. If I cannot bend, at least shortcut Namaskara. You get humility. Nirmana Moha is nothing but Amanitvam, which is already mentioned in the 13th chapter by name Vinayaha. The next virtue is Nirmohaha. The prefix nir should be read twice. Nirmana, nirmoha. You should not say nirmana and moha. Moha is not another virtue. Moha is not a virtue at all, which we have to acquire, because we already have that aplenty. Nirmoha means freedom from delusion. That means what? Proper thinking or discrimination. What is proper thinking? We should remember every individual is a mixture of spiritual personality and a material personality. Spiritual personality is Atma Tattvam and the material personality is Anatma Tattvam. Every individual is a mixture of Atma Tattvam and Anatma Tattvam. We are both spiritual and materialistic. Dayananda Saraswati ji, Puja Swamiji always mentions, even a great spiritual person, when he is eating food, he is 100% materialistic, because he is dealing with matter to nourish the body, which is again a matter. There is no Atma involved in eating. So, we have both personalities. Our growth is balanced growth, in which I take care of any material needs and I should take care of my spiritual growth. So I have to take both the things. Material needs I have to take care of. I have to see that spiritual growth is also taken place. And that is why we have divided the Purushartha into 4. Ardha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. Ardha and Kama are also important. Dharma and Moksha are also important. There should not be a lopsided approach. That is why Paramatma said in the 16th chapter, suppose a person says, I will do 24-hour meditation and no eating food, etc. The materialistic pursuit is not there. Paramatma said it would not work. If you do not eat at all, you will meditate only on idlis and chapatis, not on Sachidananda Paramatma. So 100% spiritual pursuit nobody can have. 100% spiritual pursuit is lopsided. 100% material pursuit is also lopsided. Therefore, Paramatma says, give a balanced approach. You have Ardha and Kama, earn well, eat well, but at the same time, have time for attending the Vedanta classes. So, earning money is required, but you cannot spend your entire time, your entire life on earning and entertainment alone. That is why Guru often says that I have alone is not the criterion from my joy. What I am should also be taken care of. That is why our Guruji often says, what I have is not the criterion. What I am is the criterion. What is your real nature? You should understand. You are taking care of only what I have, forgetting our real nature. We are not giving importance to spirituality. Jita Sangha Doshaha. Sangha means emotional slavery, emotional attachment, emotional addiction, emotional leaning upon external factors. It is totally a risky proposition because external world is constantly changing. So leaning upon a changing support is not a healthy habit. Therefore, do not lean on anything which is changing, which is transient, which is slippery. That is why the world dependence is fleeting, changing and slippery and no guarantee. Shift to God dependency. From world dependence, shift to God dependence. So, jitasanga doshaha, those who have mastery, those who are not emotional slavery, they should shift from God dependence to self-dependence. The self-dependence is once again not physical dependence, the mental dependence. Mentally, I don't depend on anyone. Mentally, I don't depend on anyone means, in the old age, the children are settled abroad. This person, he will, unnecessarily, he will entertain that idea, nobody is there for me. So if I have something, who will take care? The problem has not come. He will only, infuse some problem and he entertains and makes it big and he suffers. So this kind of tantrums mind will not play. Mind is very strong. He can depend on himself mentally, mind you, not physically. Physical support is needed when it is required. Vinivritta kamaha. Vinivritta kama means slowly giving up the desires and bad habits. I have given up smoking and what do? I take pan parag. So giving up means not adopting one more bad habit. That is not the correct approach. So we should know that when you give up your bad habits or when you give up the desires, let it be slowly and for good. Dvandvaihi vimuktaha, those who can withstand the opposite experiences in the life, the capacity to withstand the opposite experiences which are inevitable. So there is a possibility that you have to face the situation. In the summer, you get heat, summer stroke will be there for some people. Summer is very severe. So though you are inside the house, you sweat and you feel discomfortable. So when it is an inevitable factor, you try to put up with it. So these kinds of difficulties do take place and you should try to withstand the pair of opposites. Sometimes you get pleasure, sometimes you get pain. So both opposites are there. You should be able to withstand, which is an inevitable factor. Avasyam bhavi bhavanam pratikaro bhavet yadi tada dukkhay naripyeran nalarama yudhishtaraha. So even great people like Nala, Rama and Dharmaraja, they had to face all adverse situations, the choiceless situations. So that is the life. So amudaha bhavanti. they become wise people. One who understands this, one who take up this Vedanta Vichara, those who follow Vedanta, those who acquire Saranagati, those who practice sadhanas, Vairagyam, Saranagati, and Sadgunas, and Vedanta Vichara, they become Amudaha. Amudaha Bhavanti. They become wise people. Amudaha means Jnani, Brahmavit, Sthita Prajnaha. They become wise people. Then Tad Padam Gachanti. They reach the destination of Brahma, the destination of God, the destination of moksha. They will certainly attain Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. The destination is Avyayam, which is permanent, which is never lost. Because the wisdom is never lost, the money you gain, it gets depleted and exhausted. But knowledge, when you share with others, it will never get depleted. Our Guruji is teaching Gita more and more. At the end of the 15th chapter, his knowledge will not become half. By the time he completes the 15th chapter, he will acquire more and more knowledge. So knowledge cannot be depleted. Na choraharyam, na cha rajaharyam, na bhratrubhadyam, na cha bharakari. Vyaye krute vardhata eva nityam. Vidyadhanam sarvadhana pradhanam. The more you use your knowledge, the more it increases. The more it increases. And therefore, moksha is a permanent benefit, which is never lost. So we will continue more in the next class. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudatyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.